President Barack Obama speaking at the Al Smith dinner. This is an annual tradition in American politics, and importantly, this is a tradition that happens right before the election in presidential election years, and by tradition, both candidates in that election appear and give essentially battling stand-up routine speeches that end nicely. Mr. Romney and Mr. Obama have both concluded their remarks. Now, those were live just a couple of blocks from here in New York City. I'm here with W. Kamau Bell from Totally Biased with W. Kamau Bell on FX. Is this the sort of thing that you score and say who was better, or is there something more important about their competing performances here?
Well, you know, it's like any talent competition. You have to judge several different categories.
Okay.
Both of them are funny. Both of them can deliver a line. But Barack Obama knows how to do this. I feel like Barack Obama's like a Swiss Army knife. He's got several different settings. Funny Barack is a very easy setting for him.
Okay.
Whereas Romney kind of has awkward Romney and mean Romney. And so funny Romney is not really a setting for him, which is why he looks so awkward when he was actually still being funny.
He was very funny. He did have very good jokes.
Yeah.
His opening joke where he's talking about wardrobe changes on the campaign, you know, jeans in the morning and then a sport coat and then maybe a suit and tie for an evening event. Finally, Ann and I can relax in what we wear around the house.
Yes.
The opening gambit was very, very funny.
But then he reset to Romney face.
Looked very stern while delivering that very funny joke.
Like I say, it looks like a guy in a movie who's been stabbed and is trying not to show it. It's just that stern Romney face of like, why are you in so much pain? You're killing. Enjoy the moment.
But here's the thing. Because you said that about Romney right before we saw Obama go, I was watching Obama's facial expressions. When he gives a joke, he does not smile his way through the joke. He does not seem like he is enjoying himself through the joke. He seems very serious, like Romney, beat, and then big smile or laugh or a self-deprecating laugh or some other show of emotion. But he does sort of look a little stabbed himself while he's initially delivering it.
Well, because they're terrified. They're not comedians. This is a ridiculous thing. It would be like if you said, Kamau, you're a comedian, now one day you have to be president. I would be terrified the whole way through. I understand why they're terrified.
And your career as a comedian will be over unless you're a great president.
Yes. If you're a great president for 1 hour, you can continue your career as a comedian. I don't understand how we do things in this country.
It is weird, but do you feel like this is actually a healthy thing for campaign season, for the contest, because they're forced to at least sort of fake civility and say nice things about one another's families and talk in this context? Or do you think that this is so fake in terms of how they feel about each other that it's just too phony?
I feel the latter. I feel like I don't want you to pretend to be friends. I would like you to actually be friends in real life. You know, I'd like Republicans and Democrats to actually be friends and work some things out instead of pretending to be friends for an hour.
Yeah, although I don't think they were pretending to be friends. I think they were pretending to be civil.
Well, yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, especially after this last debate, right, which was rollicking and fun, but they were all but grabbing each other by the lapels, right?
Yes,
And tonight, all of the jokes were essentially all of the jokes were at each other's expense. There was a few self-deprecating jokes, but when Obama stood up and said, please take your seat before Clint Eastwood starts yelling at it, I mean, that's a nasty thing to say to Mitt Romney about his disastrous convention. But to say it in a way that ends with, about I think you're an all right guy, I don't know. Part of me feels like that sort of fakery is just fakery, and part of me feels like I'm glad they're faking it.
Well, yeah, I'm glad they're faking it, but I guess on some level, but I also feel like I'm happier to see them battle it out in a debate than I am to see them try to take my job.
Yeah, I don't think you have any worries. Let me just ask one last thing, which is the question of likability and its relationship to humor. Not every very successful comedian in America gets to be very successful because they're the kind of person you would like to spend time with.
Oh, no.
Comedians do not cultivate an air of likability, but when politicians do comedy routines, it's seen as being key to whether or not they are likable people, whether they can pass the have a beer with me test, which may be in part, maybe this is stretch, but maybe in part why Mitt Romney, I think, made 4 separate jokes about the fact that he does not drink, because this is a likability gambit, essentially, for both of them. What's the relationship between likability and ability to deliver a joke in this kind of context?
I mean, you don't have to be likable to be funny. You know, a lot of comedians are horrible, horrible people. And that's not, it's about how comfortable you are in your own skin.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing with Romney. Like, the jokes are professional jokes, comedians wrote them, but he still doesn't seem to be comfortable in his skin.
Yeah. Authenticity is everything on television and in politics and in comedy, I think. And I think that awkwardness is the thing that he's got to stretch on all of those. W. Kamau Bell from Totally Biased with W. Kamau Bell on FX, which is a brilliant show, and you're a very smart guy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. We needed a comedy expert. had one. All right. There was actual important, more serious news today, including more serious news today on the campaign trail. We will get to it, and we'll do it with a straight face, like this. That's next.